I watched you chop.
Okay, I'm gonna record here. The beginning is just basically.
I was watching you chop everything while I was driving home.
So yeah, so from here I'm gonna record it, and then I can email you, or please email me that you need the recording, because all that it was for is just chopping.
Yeah, okay. I watched you guys chop while I was on the 22. Trying to come home. I watched you chop while I was on the 22. Okay. I was on the 22. Okay, so my butter is crazy hot because I was heating up my pan for longer than I intended. But there we go. So my butter's already melted. So now we're going to add our chicken.
I have a question. Since our chicken is already pre-cooked, should we put the veggies in there now?
I'm sorry, I can't hear it. My son.
Should we put the veggies in there now because our chicken is already pre-cooked?
I would hold on. Wait until
because the butter is burning.
What's that?
The butter is burning.
Oh, yeah, it's fine.
No, okay.
Oh, you already put the butter in? Okay, yeah. Then I would put your veggies in.
All of them. Okay, thanks.
This is louder than I thought it would be, so I can't hear very well. I'm so sorry.
Including potatoes? We should put potatoes in too?
Say that again?
We should put potatoes in there too?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, the veggies are all going in together. So we're just going to cook our chicken until it's mostly cooked. I'm going to step away. Sorry, it's so loud. We're cooking our chicken until it's mostly cooked through. This says about 3 minutes. My pan is very hot, so it's cooking kind of quickly. So just letting that cook through. Okay, so while our chicken is cooking, we are going to chop. We need parsley and sage. If you're using dried, then you won't need this step. But if you're using fresh, then go ahead and grab your sage and your parsley. Grab a fresh cutting board that has not been sullied by chicken, and a fresh knife. So we're going to need our sage first, I believe. Let me double check.
Did you know you were hungry?
Yes, I know.
Yeah, so we're going to need our sage first. It calls for about 2 tablespoons of fresh sage, so I'm using fresh. Take the leaves off. And mince those up. When it comes to seasonings, I don't tend to measure exactly at all, and I kind of use fresh herbs and throw fresh herbs in that category. But feel free to measure it precisely if you want. This is probably more than 2. No, I think this is about 2 tablespoons. Okay, so my sage is ready to go. And now I'm going to throw in my veggies. My chicken has been cooking for about, we only added the sage to the chicken. So the recipe, let me see. You know what, Steph, I forgot as a cardinal sin of cooking, I think, and I would never do this normally, and it's only because I'm doing this in a different environment. I forgot to salt and pepper the chicken. So let's make sure and do that real quick now, and then I'll address the sage. It's salt and pepper to taste, so just, you know, start with a little and you can always add more later. So I'm gonna salt and pepper my chicken. I had them set out and everything, you guys. Okay, so the recipe is calling for us to add our veggies and about a half a tablespoon of the sage. So we're gonna do throw our veggies in and half a tablespoon of the sage. So let's do that now.
Repeat that what you said when you're adding the veggies?
Say that again.
Can you repeat that last thing?
Oh, I'm throwing in the veggies, the cut up veggies, and half a tablespoon of the sage.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna transfer my phone over in just a second. I'm just getting the cooking part situated. So you'll see me, you won't see me for a second, but I'll be back. All I'm doing is just mixing up the veggies and the sage into my pan. So I'll be right back. All right, I'm going to take you guys over here with me. I'm overheating. My pan is quieter now. Sorry, for a second there, the pan was just, my cooking sounds were so loud I couldn't hear your questions. So forgive me. Okay. So I think you can see my pan. So I'm just kind of integrating everything. The recipe doesn't call for it, but I'm gonna throw in a little bit of extra salt because just for me, I like when I have potato-based things to give a healthy dose of salt. And maybe a smidge more pepper. So I'm a huge on flavor kind of a gal. Okay. So it says to cook that about let the vegetables start to soften or for about 3 minutes. I know it's probably already been a couple minutes, but I'm gonna just let this go for a bit longer. That sage smells good. Reminds me of Thanksgiving whenever I cook with sage. I think it's one of those herbs that's always in stuffing or frequently in stuffing. Okay. Yeah, this looks like it's doing what it's supposed to. So we're gonna let that go for about 3 minutes. Our next step is to add the flour. So if you haven't already gotten your flour ready, get that ready now. It's 1/4 cup of flour, I believe. Yeah, 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. So I have mine ready to go here. So I'm just gonna wait a couple minutes and let these veggies soften a bit more. And then I'm gonna throw that in.
Should we put the chicken in now?
Yeah, I throw your chicken in now
Okay, thanks.
with your veggies. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this does not have to cook all the way through because we are going to put this in the oven. So don't panic on that front. Okay. I'm gonna let this go about 2 more minutes. I'm gonna hang out and let this cook a little bit more. My skillet, it's a good size, but I feel like it's a little crowded in here, so I might let this go a little bit longer just to kind of, especially those onions, you really want to let those soften up before they go in the oven. To me, it always just tastes better, no matter what no matter how else I'm cooking. If I let the onions really cook down, they get sweeter, they taste better. So I'm going to let that chill out a little bit longer than the recipe has called for. But if you don't want to do that, then feel free to skip ahead and add your flour. But I'm going to let that go an eensy bit longer. I'm going to see, I'm confused on the sage myself because it said the recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of sage, but it told me to just put a half a tablespoon of sage in there. So I'm going to take a quick look and see when else I'm supposed to be putting that. I don't know, you guys, it's not telling me to add sage later on in the recipe. So I'm going to throw in a little bit more now because that's what I want to do. Feel free to just use that half tablespoon of sage if you want, or throw more in.
Sometimes,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, sometimes there's a difference between fresh sage and dried sage. So maybe that's one's fresh, one's dried.
Yeah, that might be part of it. Oh, no, I lied. Okay, I just found it, sorry. Okay, so we're gonna brush the remaining sage on the puff pastry. So I'm not gonna throw it in there. Okay. Glad I double checked that. I've read this recipe about 10 times in preparation for this, but you know, it's still
You
kind of
already put the flour in there, right?
I haven't yet, but you can if you want. I'm gonna put it in now. So we have our flour. And then we're going to throw that in there, just sprinkle it on top. Makes it easier to integrate instead of just throwing it in a big clump. Okay. And we're going to cook that for about a minute. Just kind of stir that all the way through. This is already smelling really good, you guys. It already smells like a chicken pot pie situation to me. That makes me happy. My pan is crowded here, so I'm trying to be careful and not, I'm making a small mess here. Whoop, left potato down. We have a fallen potato.
But all of a sudden it feels really small.
I know, kind of a lot, but I'm gonna trust the process and just hope it works. Okay. So still hasn't been a minute, surprisingly. I am just boiling hot standing over the stove, you guys. I chose this recipe because it seemed nice and fall oriented, but of course we live in Southern California where it's still boiling hot. It's been better, but it's still hot. My dog is trying to eat the potato. Don't eat the potato, Gilda. All right. It's been about a minute. Our flour has been cooked off, so we're not going to have that raw flour taste. So we should be good to move on to the next step, in which we are going to quickly stir in chicken broth. Okay, so I have my chicken broth ready to go right here. Okay, this is 2 cups of chicken broth that I've already pre-measured. Just pour that in. All right. Pour that in and stir that in. And we're gonna stir that frequently until the sauce thickens for about 4 minutes. So because we have that flour in there, it's gonna help thicken up that sauce, and it's not gonna be as saucy as it seems for right now. And my food is kind of splattering everywhere, so I'm gonna like to clean as I go. All right. Rinse my hands here. Okay, so our next step is going to be throwing in our frozen veggies, our vinegar, and our parsley. So I'm going to cut up my I'm going to chop up my parsley really quickly. Calls for 2 tablespoons of minced fresh parsley. So I'll take you over here with me.
Just don't let anything burn. It shouldn't. There's so much in there at this point that it doesn't, I don't think it's likely to burn. But keep your eye on it. So I'm going to throw the rest of my sage in a separate little bowl here so that I can chop up some parsley. I'm just using curly parsley, but I think any kind of parsley works, Italian or whatever. 2 tablespoons roundabout. And then the vinegar, it said either fresh lemon juice or apple cider or cider vinegar. I'm using apple cider vinegar because I just always have that on hand. That looks about a little tiny bit more. Okay. So that's ready to go. I'll take you back over here. It's been 2 minutes, so we're gonna let that
Cook more. And I already see mine starting to thicken up a bit. And again, this is going to go in the oven, so I think it's going to be a little forgiving if it's not perfect. Yeah, it's going to go in the oven for 20 minutes. So this is shaping up to be more than 45 minutes, I think, but bear with me just because whenever you're making a recipe for the first time, it always kind of goes a little longer. So the next I said is going to be okay. So
You know, I have a question. I think I might have missed a step. Did you already put the peas in?
not yet.
No. Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah. So, but that's the next step. So get yours ready. I already have mine pre-measured. The recipe called for a 1/4 cup of peas, and it said you can throw in like a 1/2 cup of corn in there as well if you wanted. It's not on the ingredients list. It was just optional. It's in the recipe. I'm using that because that sounded good to me. So I have peas, frozen peas, and corn. So if you see something that you're like, why does she have corn? That's why. So I have a 1/4 cup of peas and a 1/2 cup of frozen corn in here. And they're just completely frozen right now. It didn't say you had to thaw them. So mine are ready to go. So make sure you have those measured out because that is our next step. Okay, and I think we are ready for that right now. Okay, actually it's telling us, so next step, we're gonna remove our pan from the heat, transferring it to a different burner, throwing in my frozen veggies. Whee! I pre-measured them and they froze into the bowl. I was trying to be efficient and have everything ready to go, but it sent some peas flying to the ground, which my dog will probably eat, so it won't go to waste. Okay, so I got my frozen veggies in there, and my parsley. I'm gonna go grab.
Bam.
And the vinegar or lemon juice. So I've got apple cider vinegar in a teaspoon. So it's calling for 1 teaspoon of either lemon juice or cider vinegar. Throwing that in there. And I'm going to mix that up. And then our next step is going to be our puff pastry. So I'm real nervous about the puff pastry, guys. Actually, it seems pretty forgiving because it's calling for us to cut it up into little pieces. So it doesn't have to be beautiful, which I'm thankful for. And at this point, your chicken should be fully cooked through. So the recipe suggests that you take a little taste and adjust for seasoning. So I'm going to integrate all this together as best as I can, and then I'm going to take a quick taste. And of course, it's not, our veggies aren't cooked fully through, but we can still get an idea. Let me see. It's actually tasting pretty good. I'm going to throw in an ever so slight amount of salt because that's just my way. And let me see. I like to throw garlic powder in everything. So I'm just going to toss in a little garlic powder there because I think it would taste good. So I'm going to throw that in there because I feel like it. So now is the time to taste and see if there's anything you want to add. This would be really good with some mushrooms, I think, but maybe next time. All right. Let's see. Yeah, that tastes good to me. So we're going to move on to our puff pastry. Okay, and I told you guys I'm scared, so bear with me here. Okay, so I've got my phone back. We're going back to the counter. I'm gonna grab my puff pastry from the fridge. And it said to get a lightly floured work surface. So I'm just gonna go straight onto my counter here because it's clean. And that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna lay my puff pastry out. And it's already breaking, but that's okay because we're gonna cut it up. So it doesn't matter. I'm so glad I wore black to cook with flour. That was a smart choice, right? You're right, Dad.
We need to use both sheets of the puff pastry or just one?
But I think it's just one sheet. Yeah. Yeah, my pack came with two sheets, but I'm just using one. So it's about yay big. And it says to cut it into 6 or 8 large squares. So I'm just going to be covered with flour, and that's okay. I'm going to use the same knife that I used to cut up my herbs. So since sage is going to go on top anyway, I don't think it's a big deal. So mine's just in thirds. It says 6 to 8, but I'm just going to do 9 because it's already conveniently cut up into thirds. And then I can do those further into thirds. And you're just flouring your surface so that it doesn't stick to your counter or cutting board, whatever you're using.
Okay, and then now we're gonna take these back to our skillet. So those of you that are just using the same skillet that you cooked in, we're just gonna lay them straight on. If you need to transfer your ingredients to something else that you're cooking in, now would be the time to do it, because we're gonna do that and then lay our puff pastry on top. And let's see, where we can put them together. Okay. All right. So it just says to lay them on top in a sort of patchwork style. So you want them all to cover everything. But I don't know if all of you got a chance to check out the actual book from Hoopla, but I'm just going to show you a picture. The cover of the book is this recipe. So this is the picture. I hope you can see that. That's what we're going for, the look. So just sort of lay them on top in a patchwork style. And yeah, so I'm going to go do that. I'll be right back. Okay, and I'm going to be honest, my little one sheet didn't come close to covering it correctly. So I'm going to use the second sheet and it's still frozen. So hopefully I'm not destroying everything here, but I think it'll be okay. Might just have been the way that I cut it, but I'm going to use the second sheet of puff pastry.
Excuse me, can you show us what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm going to show you in just a second. I'm just trying to get it situated. Okay. Okay, so I used the one recommended sheet and it just wasn't really covering it. So this is, can you see? So this is 2 sheets. So it might be too much.
Yeah, we only have one sheet.
Yeah, if you might just want to like lay it out as, the recipe calls for the one. So you might just, I've kind of got mine going up the skillet, so that might be not necessary. I think if I had done it just straight. There we go. Okay. And it's not a traditional pot pie, so it's not like there's pastry going all the way around the bottom. So I don't think it's the end of the world if it's not completely covering the entire skillet. I'm just adding more since I happen to have it. And I might be making a mistake. So we'll find out at the end. Okay, so we've got our puff pastry on there. And you know, it called for 1 sheet, and who knows what 1 sheet is. It might be, you know, different depending on the manufacturer. So the next thing we're going to do is we've got the last ingredient that we need is our 1 tablespoon of milk. So we're going to brush that on top of the pastry and then add the remaining sage on top of the pastry. And then it's going to go in the oven for 20 minutes. So let's do that. So I've got the remainder of my sage right here. I'll take you back over here. Sorry if I'm making you dizzy walking all about. Someday I'm going to figure out a better method for all this. But
Okay, so I have my tablespoon of milk ready to go. And if you have a brush, use that. If you don't, you could probably just drizzle it and it would work just fine. Just drizzle it and then get a spoon and spread it out as much as you can. All right. There we go. Got my milk. And the remainder of my sage, just gonna sprinkle that about on top. I didn't chop mine up super finely, so it's kind of bigger chunks. So I don't mind that, but we all have personal preference. I think it's ready to go in the oven. I'm just gonna take one last quick look at my recipe to make sure that I'm correct. I'll be right back. Okay, yeah. So our next step, pop this in the oven for 20 minutes. So I'm gonna put this in the oven for 20 minutes. Feel free to leave if you just wanna do that, or else I'll be back in 20 minutes to share my finished result with you, and I'd love to see all of your finished results. So if you wanna stay with me, please do so. In the meantime, I'm gonna turn my camera and my mic off, but first I'll just pop this in the oven. This is awfully hot and heavy. All right, and I'm setting my timer for 20 minutes. Oopsies.
Oh,
Okay, so I've got my timer going. That's gonna bake for 20 minutes at 425, and when it pops out, it's gonna be the most amazing, delicious pot pie that ever existed, I hope. All right, see you all in a bit, and good luck, and hope it's delicious. All right.
Yeah, see, that's,
That's the other thing.
Hi, everybody. My timer is going off right now as we speak. I've been peeking at it in the oven. It looks pretty darn good, I'm not gonna lie. So they turned my timer off, and here's the moment of truth. I hope this turns out all right. Wow. Okay. Woo! Pretty liquidy still, but it looks like really good, and it smells really good too. So I'm not going to taste it in front of you because this is boiling lava hot, but it, to me, I'm pretty excited to taste this. This looks exciting. I hope everyone else's turned out okay. Let me know if it's been exactly 20 minutes, so you might want to let it chill. I might just kind of peek and see. I'm just going to kind of peek under here and see if the like potato, for example, is cooked all the way through. Let me see. This is so hot, I'm scared. Wow. Oh man. So I have a feeling that when I cut into this, it's going to completely fall apart. In fact, I'm certain of it. But the flavor is amazing to me. Yeah. So I'm probably going to end up serving this in bowls because I think it's kind of going to fall apart. So like I said, it's not a traditional pot pie. It's just got that puff pastry on top. But even if you end up serving it in a bowl and each person kind of just gets a little kind of piece of puff pastry on top, it's still going to get that general feeling of it. I'm really pleased with how it turned out. So I hope you are too. I'm super excited to eat this. I'm starving right now. If anybody else has pulled theirs out of the oven and wants to let us all take a peek at it, please feel free because I'd love to see it. And yeah, so if you have any other questions, please let me know. I hope this was fun for everyone. Like I said, I love to cook so much. It's just one of my favorite hobbies. It's something that you have to do every day anyway, and I find a lot of joy in it. So I hope that you did. I hope you're having fun. I hope you had fun. Have a wonderful evening, and I hope to see you in November. Keep an eye out. If I do, I may or may not skip November. I'm not sure because November is so intensive with, of course, Thanksgiving and everything. But I might try to just throw in an easier, simple recipe for November too. So if I do it, I will shoot you all an email just to let you know that we're going to be doing another session in November. And again, if you have any suggestions, any thoughts, any types of cuisine you would like to do, let me know. I'm trying to avoid copyright problems and everything. I'm only using specific recipes that we can find using library resources. I used Hoopla to find this recipe. The reason I used Hoopla is because Hoopla allows a bunch of people to check out the same book at once. But Hoopla has hundreds and hundreds of different cookbooks on there. So if you have a type of cuisine you'd like to do, let me know. I'm sure I can find a recipe. So I hope that you all had so much fun. I sure did, and I'm excited to eat this. Happy eating, happy cooking, and email me if you have any thoughts. All right, everybody, have a wonderful evening. Goodbye.